Ambassador Thomas Gray had expected many things when he arrived at the Galactic Council's Grand Chamber on Station Nexus. Debate, perhaps. Disagreement, certainly. What he had not expected was treachery. The council chamber fell silent as the human diplomat approached the speaking platform. 500 representatives from across the known galaxy watched with a mixture of curiosity and disdain. Humans were newcomers, after all, primitives who had stumbled onto faster-than-light travel barely 50 years ago. Gray straightened his formal uniform and cleared his throat. Esteemed members of the Galactic Council, I come before you today with a proposal for mutual cooperation and— We have heard enough from your kind, interrupted Councillor Vex, the towering reptilian delegate from the Draconis Empire. His scales glittered under the chamber's bright lights. This council did not grant humans membership to hear your endless demands. Gray maintained his composure. With respect, Councillor, Earth has fulfilled every requirement for full membership as outlined in the Charter. A low murmur rippled through the chamber. The human was correct, and they knew it. Council Leader Thorn, an ancient being whose crystalline body refracted light in dazzling patterns, raised a limb for silence. Ambassador Gray, your species has indeed met the technical requirements. However, the Council has concerns. What concerns might those be? Gray asked, his voice steady despite the growing tension. Your expansion rate, your resource consumption, your military buildup, answered Thorn. In merely 5 decades, humans have colonized 17 systems. You've established trade with 32 species independently. Your adaptation rate is unsettling. Gray nodded. Humanity has always been quick to adapt. We see this as our strength. We see it as a threat, said Vex bluntly. The human ambassador's eyes narrowed. Is that the Council's official position? Thorn's crystalline form pulsed with blue light. The Council has deliberated extensively on the human question. We have reached a decision. Gray felt a chill run down his spine as hidden panels in the floor slid open around the speaking platform. What is this? He demanded. A message, replied Thorn coldly. To all ambitious species who might disrupt the balance we have maintained for 10,000 years. Energy fields sprang up around the platform, trapping Gray within. The ambassador's security implant was already sending emergency signals to the human delegation waiting outside the chamber, but the council had planned well. All transmissions were being blocked. You cannot do this, Gray said, his voice still diplomatic even now. Earth will consider this an act of war. Vex leaned forward. That is precisely the point, Ambassador. We'd have studied your history. Humans respond to overwhelming force. You must be shown your place. The energy field began to glow, its color shifting from blue to orange to white-hot. Gray remained standing, his eyes locked on the council leader, even as the heat began to sear his skin. Remember this, the ambassador said, his final words transmitted through the chamber's audio system as flames began to consume him. Humanity does not bow to threats. We respond. His screams echoed through the council chamber, broadcast across all diplomatic channels. Admiral James Carter stood before the gathered commanders of Earth's fleet, his face grim as the recording of Ambassador Gray's execution played on the main screen. When it ended, the room remained silent for a full minute. The council believed this would cow us into submission. Carter finally said, they'd studied our history but learned the wrong lessons. General Maria Lopez nodded. They think we're like the Centauri, who surrendered after their delegation was assassinated. Or the Rid Collective, who paid tribute for 1,000 years after their representatives were publicly humiliated, added Fleet Commander Wilson. Carter's eyes were hard as he surveyed the room. The council has existed for 10 millennia by eliminating potential rivals before they could become threats. They miscalculated with humanity. On the tactical display, thousands of human ships appeared, organized into strike groups. The Earth Defense Force had been preparing for possible conflict since first contact revealed the hierarchical and often brutal nature of galactic politics. Every human colony has been notified, Lopez reported. Total war protocols are in effect. Manufacturing centers are shifting to military production. The asteroid mining guilds have pledged all resources to the war effort. Carter nodded grimly. The Council believes they understand humanity because they've studied our conflicts. But they missed something crucial about us. What's that, Admiral? Asked a young captain. Throughout our bloody history, nothing unites humans like an external threat, Carter replied. The Council just gave 8 billion humans and 17 colony worlds a common enemy. 6 months later, Council leader Thorne stood in the ruins of Station Nexus, watching as human warships systematically dismantled the last defensive platforms. Half the Council members were dead. Most of the others had fled to their homeworlds, breaking the 10,000-year alliance in the face of humanity's unexpected, overwhelming response. We thought they would capitulate, Thorne said to Counselor Vex, whose once gleaming scales were now dulled with stress. Instead, they united as never before. Their technology was supposed to be inferior, Vex hissed. How did they advance so quickly? A human voice answered from behind them. Adaptation is our specialty. They turned to find General Lopez standing there, flanked by armored soldiers. You could have waited centuries and been welcomed into the Council, Thorne said. Instead, you've destroyed a galactic civilization. Lopez shook her head. We didn't destroy it, we're replacing it. The new interstellar alliance already includes 32 species, all those you've exploited for millennia. They were eager to join once they saw your power wasn't absolute. As Thorne and Vex were led away, Lopez gazed out at the stars visible through the station's shattered dome. Humanity had paid a terrible price for this war, but they had also discovered something unexpected. They weren't alone in their desire for change. The galaxy would never be the same, and perhaps, she thought, that was for the best.